Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Believe it or not, I have a sick goat. And for those of you that know me, you know I've got goats that I watch. For those of you that don't, well, now you know. Um, I'm a little late here, in case you didn't notice. Sorry about that. Let me just make sure people know that I'm live. I should be live on YouTube, live on Twitter. If you do know that, just type in the chat so that I know I'm not speaking to myself, although I've got no problem speaking to myself as well. You see my Twitter, I'm trying to get announcements out to people, so now you're watching the secret sauce being made. Somebody just asked me, are we live this morning? I'm just going to send the link in. All right, back to where we are. Okay, I see a few people here. Good morning, everybody. Type in the comments if you're on X or if you're on um, YouTube. So just so I know what's going on. I see a few people. That's fine. And quick recap. I'm late. Like I said, goat health issues. Whitey. Well, never mind. I'll have time for the goat issues. Um, so where are we? 6,100. Go figure, right? So quick recap. I'm very proud of myself here. I figured out how to do this. Here was the Sunday low subsequent to the taking out the nukes. Here's where Trump signaled the ceasefire. Isn't that cool? I'm gonna keep doing this stuff. I have a new toy. Be careful, guys. The IC whale. We opened pretty much above the IC whales. 60-60 short call on top of his call credit spread yesterday that he did when we had the first range expansion. And so now he's back with a vengeance. Not with a vengeance, it's part of his model. Um, with well, why do I have two numbers? Because he has mostly 5 wide, his standard, and there's some 10 wides. Same thing at the bottom, 60, 55, 65, 50. I think 55 is a short strike. I'd have to check, but it's down here. And we're going to look in a minute. And that makes the chop zones, and that's likely we stay in there. I don't know. I mentioned in my note that RV the last couple of days has been greater than IV. Realized volatility, how much we move, has been greater than the implied volatility of the options market. Partially related to headlines, sure, partially related to the whole September options complex unclench, which many people in this space have been talking about for days, weeks, months. Every OPEX, it shouldn't be news by now, especially a quarterly. And so I'm wondering where the equilibrium is and when this kind of equalizes. My gut tells me, my quantuition tells me that we somehow, here's the expected move from last week as measured on Friday. And you see we're right above it. So if we close down here at 75.70, the expected move from last Friday holds. Or do we break out of the range? Every once in a while we break out of the range and we form a new range. So we'll see. We'll see. I guess if we look historically, how many weeks is it? It's pretty much since end of May. We've respected the range. We poked above it and came back. So that's what I was saying in my note, how the range has been kind of holding. But we have June end of month JP Morgan collar, and I'll be doing a write up about it for my weekend note, I suppose. since Monday is the day. Maybe I'll try and get something done before that for Friday is fun, or we'll do a special live stream on it or something. Good morning. And so here we are. And so job zone, I'm willing to call it 65-ish area. As we approach the whole mess below, we kind of bounce, stall, and we kind of come back. I mentioned the 80, 85 area, not so much in the zero DTE in the complex for today, but when I looked out in time, and I'll show you what I looked at, no secrets here. Um, just, is my mic okay? Just want to make sure it's close enough to my mouth. Um, there's features around 60, 85, 80-ish out into the end of the month that kind of are going to, I think, should come into play today at some point. Not strong, but that's why I kind of have this over here, and we have the 75 round number down here. We have the 20 delta put when I looked before was down at 70, 75. So this area should be kind of the bottom of, should at least be a stall on the way toward the bottom if this gets messy. We're pretty close to the top. We can stay over here, 60.15 is where I would look if I jumped in long somewhere over here to kind of take profits, look for mean reversion flows from all the short calls over here. Remember, just for those of you that are not very familiar with this, I'll give you the quick TLDR. Customers sell an option, market makers buy it. They hedge opposite the direction of the move as it heads there. They sell, but as it recedes and pulls back, they buy. When we have two zones like that, it creates this kind of bouncy zone. When customers buy, market makers are short, and that becomes more of a magnet as market makers are competing with market participants, exaggerating the direction of the move versus muting the direction of the move. And we can get all into the quantity stuff about that, but on a practical purpose, you know that and you're way ahead of the game. The rest is, as my, as I went to a yeshiva Jewish study school and we studied like, obscure Jewish tracts, whatever, where there would be Talmudic arguments about whatever it is. And one of the sayings would be that people would be arguing about how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. And we can argue about the Vanna Schmammer, Volga effects and all that, and yeah, that matters. But what really matters from practical purpose is, at least in my experience, is knowing that. And we could talk about how many angels could dance on the head of a pin later. Okay, switching gears, let's go here to my buddy OD. And then we're going to look at a few other ones I have. And so here, nice and clean. You can see the red. Target magnet, OMG level, whatever you want to call it. Should we get through this? Boom, 6130. Should we get over 6130? Dead air up here, but then that tends to become a magnet down below us. We've got this shelf here at 6085. Oh, look at that. I didn't even notice that before. I came up with it somewhere else. We come up with a 6085 shelf, but then as time progresses and charm and everything else kicks in, a natural drift toward that 6065 area, and then to right where the icy whales put credit spreads are, with of course this magnet down here. Should something happen, should Trump say something on a tweet, should there be Mideast news, should Powell say something at the Senate testimony today, should the 10 o'clock numbers come out funky and we break this, which again, I'm not expecting to happen. Path of least resistance is down to 25, which I flagged, but then tendency to come back up toward here. Good morning. Hey, Joel. Good to see you, buddy. I got some of my buddies here. And some of my buddies aren't here. I'm going to have to call you people out individually. If not, I'm going to call you guys out on X. Okay. So now let's go granular for a second. And let me just make sure I have the right. So this is market makers. And I just made it really wide because when I was looking at like the end of the month time frame, so I'm just going to leave it here. But this doesn't include the end of the month options positioning. That's why it's so thin up here. And what do we see today? Here's the IC whale 2025 times whatever, times 10,000 ish contracts. And then there's also some 10 wide, about 3.5 thousand ish contracts. So this is pretty strong. It's got the 15, 14,000, and we have that makes this a zone. That's why I kind of wrote it up that way. I don't know. It's very true that. True that, Joe. It's true. Just kidding. No, no. Kumbaya. We are the world. Um, if we get over here, it's thin, bro. There's nothing here. Don't torture the data, as Paul Duncan from Gamma Edge says. Quick shameless plug, Gamma Edge. Paul agreed to come on with me where, why does it say non-member? While this thing loads, I'm going to go back here. Log in. Come on. See that? And why am I showing this? I use more than one service. I don't mind paying. This is what I do for a living for myself. Plus, I use it for you. So if I pay, I pay. I really don't care. I really don't care. Different people have different ways of parsing the data, presenting the data. I find it all useful. And so here's his transition zone right here. We can just look at this 60, 55, 65. See, different secret source, same basic idea. If over the transition zone, right here, there's a stall at 6100, there's a 6120. You got a map. This is looking at the whole complex. I'm not going to go into the whole thing. Paul will be here. He could talk about his stuff himself. He's very capable of speaking for himself. Where was I? No, I just lost the tab. Oh, here I am. Okay, anyway, back to here. 6120. So that's what's going on. Don't torture the data. That's how I got there. That was one of his famous sayings. Don't torture the data. And there's no data up here to tell me that we stop anywhere here other than common sense, quote unquote. But it's real thin up here. Okay, we have a little better setup to the bottom in terms of knowing where stuff is. We have the big short calls, stall right up here. We have a surprising amount of market maker um, long gamma customers short stuff, all in the zone from 6100 all the way down to 6 to 55 where the IC whale sits. And so that makes it a somewhat easier glide path down rather than a quick acceleration move down. And we should quote unquote stall in here if we break 50 round numbers, so that's going to have added gravitas. Should we break below here, again, don't torture the data, there's nothing much back here. Over the course of the whole complex, we have this. And that's the long and short of it, folks. Now, of course, all you pinheads. We had some good calls on the pin yesterday, some good calls in the morning, and some really good calls on the 3 o'clock, 3:30 power hour thing. I think we did that unlisted just for my paid subscribers. Today we'll do it again. Well, I don't know if it's going to be paid or public, whatever. I'm kind of random with that. It's kind of whatever I feel like or whatever I figure out how to set up in time. As you've heard many times, I ain't the techie. And so let's zoom in a little bit and see where we are. Let's give it a wide berth and let's see what we're gonna. Let's get some pinfluences. Come on, pinheads. Okay, so main pin areas are going to be the border between suppressive and supportive. That's all you gotta know. We're not going to worry about how many angels could dance on the head of a pin. So in here, right below the whale, the 10-20 area is one potential pin. We got these nooks and crannies here. We got basically yesterday's close, which also puts us back below the straddle. As another area, we have 60, 70, the 20 delta put area. And as we're getting into this mess, and then we have the 50 area, and of course, should, whatever we have down here, down here. So 6110, and that feels about right. I might look for a fly somewhere in here. I'm not even sure. We'll look. Maybe we have some time today, so I'll build something out. And as some of you know, as a feature, unless you get skewered, I just do my own. I just put in some trades in the morning, and I do them live, not trading advice. I do it for educational purposes to try and show you guys how I think. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's up to you. Obviously, I think it's a good thing since it's me. Okay, so we have, okay, so let's look at this. We have 6100, 6120, and so we have basically folks looking for pins right in here, the 6100. It's hard to pin on a market maker strike like that on a market maker. What is that? What's going on? 6100. Well, actually, we could pin there. Let me take that back. We could pin there. I take that back. Never mind. But in general, we tend not to pin on one of these. Oh, we did. Okay, yeah. So yeah, okay, right below that. Never mind. Yeah, okay, I see. Right on the border. That's good. Let me get a different view here. I like the view I had before. Never mind. I wasn't seeing the lines quite right. Let's go here. And let's go later in the day. We don't really need to see the 9 o'clock stuff. And so we got the pin. Man, I'm screwing up. All right, let's go. Let's do it wider, not narrower. Okay, easier to see it here. So should we break 60-30? We got all this stuff up here. Nobody's voting for that. So we're voting for the 6120 area, just kind of right getting stuck over by the IC whale. We won't close on 20 on the whale, so your choice is over under whale. Although one time we closed within 81 cents of him or something. And if he would have lost by 81 cents, that was one of those like 60,000 contracts days, like the last day after that, he's out of business. And so, yeah, it could happen. He's tweaked his model a little since then. I kind of can figure out his model. It's not that hard, which I teased is coming up. 120 to be closed in the last 2 hours, the best out. He never closes. He does not close. That won't happen. He will go down with the ship, get harpooned, and come back bloody with the pod the next day. That's just what it is. Now, some of his minions close because he's got his hedge fund and he has people that also like follow his trades, whatever that's all about. And some of them close independently, like they break ranks, so to speak. I saw that happen once actually, and he got skewered on the bottom. It was a put. Some of his minions closed the short puts, and some of the long puts were still there. And I remember that one. That was last year once. So it does happen, but it's rare. Okay, so likely pin in this area, and we'll look at a fly. A pin right here at 85 something. This might be a good cheapy fly. Might look to buy one, especially if we pop and maybe not hold it to the close. If we pull back, it might be a good convex one. There's your lotto all the way down there, and nobody's voting for that. So everybody's basically in this zone here, maybe a little lower. Okay, that's reasonable. Okay, so we have 20, 10, 20, 20, 20. Okay, so if we average it up, I'm not going to do the math. I'm going to say it's right here at 6112. I'm going to say 6112 because why not? I got the microphone. I can say what I want. 6115. Yeah, 6115 ish. You know, it's really going to be interesting to see how the strength of this plays out at the end of the day. Obviously, as time passes, charm kicks in, and this gets really strong at the end of the day. Look at that value, 2,100, whatever it is, e-minis. That's a lot of e-minis that market makers are going to have to sell if we get there. It's going to be rough to get through there, but if we get through there, and suddenly they're short and they got to buy 2,000. So there could be fireworks in here, and there could be less fireworks in here. Notice it's 1,000 here and 2,000 here. So there's more risk, quote unquote, to the upside. That was fun. Okay, let's get back over here. Okay, so I did a little ES trade. I sold the E-mini Iron Condor. Why? I wanted to have E-mini populate on my screen, and it was worth me paying whatever the fee was just to do it. I'm not worried about this closing. I probably opposite order. Let's put in 10 cents, even though it probably loses me money on what it pays on the contracts. I just wanted to have the convenience of having it on my screen in case I wanted to look at it. I think I might do more of that. Okay, so by the way, here's that VIX put fly that I bought. I bought it too narrow, but I paid pennies for it, so it doesn't really matter. I'm up $18. I only did one for fun for science, but it's 26%. So if I had sized up, it would have been a trade, worth doing. But like I said, I do a lot of these trades for learning purposes, especially here in this account. And my real account is a different story. Oh, UPS. I did a UPS covered call a year out in time, factoring in the dividend the and the premium gives me a net of about 17, 18% for the year. I'm going to be talking about trades like that on a new feature I'm going to be doing for a lower tier of subscribers, a set it and forget it kind of tier, or a more portfolio kind of tier. Because, bro, I've been doing this shit, pardon my French, for half a century, whatever. I mean, that's easy. Not investment advice, of course. All right. So what's going on here? So I saw the whale come in, and we knew he was going to come in anyway. So I sold. I don't know what this crap is. I must have sold this crap a long time ago. You can't even pay to get rid of this. Okay, this must have been a last Friday trade, like a straddle trade. So here we are. Okay, so looks like I'm with him on the put side. Yeah, and I did this yesterday on live stream. I turned it into a fly. I should have made it an asymmetrical fly. It looks like I didn't get filled. I would have wanted to have had two or three here, but I didn't. But what I'm going to do right now to add onto this thing, see, there's really not any juice down here already. So actually, I did it more aggressive than him. But so now, if I were in his trade, if I were on the whale pod, and the trades that I'm going to do that are going to be similar, I would buy this shit back. I would be buying this back for 20, 15, 20 cents, and then worry about the calls, and then put in some kind of how are the calls? The calls, okay. I sold further out of the money because I'm not a putz. I only did one. If I put in my 50% buy to close, I'm willing to give it a little room for now. But let's see what his trade is now. So he got about a buck 65 ish, give or take, depending on the fill. And the calls were a little close for my comfort. That's why I saw him go in. He did like a 2022 delta, still the same delta. I went for the 16 delta, and his puts have basically melted to nothing. And so it would be what is it? It would be this and this. So he's somewhat profitable now. Now he sits with it because of the way he does his Monte Carlo progression, because he wants to make back the money he lost yesterday and then some, which is fine. I have I have a formula for that I'm going to be rolling out for special paid people. This is my version. I've been doing the same thing for more than 5 years. It's not like he invented it. It's just that he monetized it. Okay, so that's that. So what would I do now? The answer is I don't know. Okay, so start off with the old wish trade, 50, 20 wide. That's not bad. Get away from the round number by one. 40 cents. I like it. Now, obviously, that's a margin hog. So we'll also model something more normal, quote unquote. I'm not that worried about the 50. A 10 wide is 30 cents. So if I was in the wish trade land doing it, I would put it in for 40 or 50 cents, or maybe one at 40, one at 45, one at 50. See if they fill. Just leave them there, set it and forget it, and unless something crazy happens. Um, but if we look at his spread, his strike here, being away from that, the 50 zone in here, you get 50 cents for 15 wide. That's not horrible. I don't hate it. And on top, We can't, I'd like to be away from, remember we had that 30, whoops, we got this shit over here. We got that 30 up here, so I don't want to be here. It would be nice to be up here by 40. I certainly don't want to be here just in case. I don't think we get there, but selling credit spreads, as you know, is kind of different. So 45, I can do a 21 because I have a 20 right on the bottom. 40 cents, that's all right. That'll do. Now we might take some heat during the day if we go up, so I'll put in one at 50 cents. If we get it, we get it. And then I'll manage it as time goes by. Okay, now let's play with the flies. Does negative value in the gamma heat map indicate how many EME? It's the opposite. It's what the market maker has to buy or sell, but it's the opposite. So when you see them, that's their position. So they have to do the opposite. I forget how to say it. So when you see minus, it means they're buying. When you see plus, it means they're selling. And I will have options depth on. I will have Elias on. I texted him last night. He said, let's do something this week or this weekend. So he'll be on and he can walk you through all that stuff. And I have my buddy Tom Lee agreed to come on. He's the double diagonal Deegan. Everything I want to know about double diagonals, we're afraid to ask, and then some. He's the guy. I'm happy to admit, with the utmost humility, he knows way more than I do on how to handle those. I do okay with those. It's not my signature trade. This is my signature trade. He was showing a graphic the other day, and I was mentioning it to somebody where two people were talking about win rate, and his win rate is something like 18%, and his P&L is something like 60% for the year or something, or 40%, 30%, 20% a month or something crazy. Crazy. When he loses $1 or $100 or $200. When he wins 10,000 if you set the diagonals up right. I may be having the numbers somewhat wrong, but they're kind of staggering convex trades. And so he's going to be on. He'll talk us through it. Get out your notepads, get out your AI to take that down because it'll be worth. And we'll see where we go with that after he does that. Okay, let's look at some flies. Okay, so we have people talking about pins. Let's take a quick look at the 6100. Now, I'm going to do it a little different, just for fun, especially since I have a mess going on. Let me see, maybe I don't. Butterfly. Butterfly long. Let's start with a put fly for fun. 30 cents. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay, so a put fly centering on 6100, 35 cents. That's a cheapie, but it's only 5 wide. Those get kind of a little tricky sometime. So what if we do that? $1.60, a little expensive, but not horrible. I don't hate it. What about 85.95, giving us room to the 6,000 and oh 05? $1.45, a pair of twos, same difference. I'm just going to put this in for fun. Now it's 50 cents. I like the 30-cent version better. I'm going to do, do I want to do that or do I want to give it a little breathing room? I think I'd rather give it a little breathing room. We're not supposed to, not, I'm going to do either 95 or the 6100 as the center. Anyone have any? I tried to mess. I like YouTube. Very appreciate you guys. We get to see the screens, your screens versus images there. So, so you're saying keep doing the YouTube videos? I'm just gonna put this in. And on the call side, we seem to have a group conscience that it's going to be somewhere in here, right? 15, 20. So let's try a grenade version rather than a sniper rifle over. Well, first, let's try the sniper rifle version. Then we'll look at a grenade version. We're going to look at a condor rather than a butterfly. And I've talked about this before. What a condor is. Okay, he prefers the YouTube video. Okay, cool. That's easy enough. Um, no problem. I can do that. So if we do the fly and we say that we ain't getting to 20, right? We ain't getting to 20. Seems to be what we say. So if we ain't getting to 20, let's sell it. Let's sell that thing. But now it's an expensive debit if we want to do that. Now I can't do this because I'm short here, but something like that for $1.45 ish if you want to be aggressive. You want to do saying we ain't getting to 20 for 40 cents. That might be bad, or you can make it as wide as you want. Another trick is a 10 by 15, something like that. There's a few different ways to do it. But I said I would show you the condor instead. So what the condor would look like is, let's say we think 6100, 6105, 6110. Oh, well, let's try this one. Gives us a Y10 for 80 cents. Gives us a Y10 for 80 cents. I'm going to put one of these in, a cheapie. Let's see what happens. Gives us this big wide tent in here. And you can always manage, add a fly in here, whatever, and play with it. Okay, that's it. Okay, so we had the pin vote. It's 6:14, so I'm late to my next 9 o'clock appointment. So thank you everybody for being here. Like, retweet, comment, restack on Substack, share video on YouTube, and comments. Do the same thing on Twitter. All that good stuff. Apparently, the algos like that stuff. And if you find this valuable, if you don't think it's valuable, then don't. I'm not asking you to lie. I'm asking you to do it if you like it. And I'm not going to get my. Actually, no, I will. Let's do it. Let's run it properly. I'm going to stop the screen share. I'm going to get my links. And I'll be having more discount code linky things. My attention to that end of this operation is. All right, where do I got what? Okay, here's options depth. I gotta get a link from some of the other people, but we'll give you what I got. Here's Mentor Q. Mentor Q's got good stuff. What they have that's unique is futures. And they have screeners. Now they're rolling out all kinds of stuff. Truthfully, I was a beta with them when they first started and kind of helped with the rollout and all that, and then with some features. Then they just started rolling out features. I just haven't kept track of it because I'm just doing so much of my own thing. And there's my Substack stuff. Okay, but they got so many cool features. I need some of you guys to tell me what they got now. Let's do a last look. So there's the whale. I'm warning you guys, you're going to see more of this stuff. I like it. Trading view string. Oh, wait. Let's see if a cheat card. Yay, cheat card. My buddy Nanda helping me with a little bit of the back end. Cheat cards going to the subscribers. Sorry out there in the world. But I will make it so that we can all look at it for a second so you can see what it is. Okay. Quick preview. Subscribers get this. Basically, my whole daily plan on a card. Understand that what that we don't travel only in one direction. We go through different zones. Really, okay. So as you see here's 6065. So this 6090, 6010 is contained within this. This is the best way we could think of to do it. And you have little notes on the side. You have little things over here. I see what else parameter we have. Look at this. Look at this. That's an amazing job she did. So, crap, that's worth more than the price of admission as it is. Okay, that's it. See you guys later. Thanks. Have a safe day.